Over the weekend, we heard from the NATO Secretary General. He was essentially saying that if there's going to be any wiggle room, it has to be on the Russian side, that essentially any de-escalation has to come from Moscow. And also, just to quote him, he says it's up to Russia, not Ukraine, to show flexibility at this point. But I mean, when you take a step back and look at this, what is the incentive for Vladimir Putin to do any of that at this point? I mean, he's the one with the control in terms of he's the one on the border with Ukraine with that 100,000 plus troops. And he's the one directing, in a way, the narrative at this point, because we're not seeing anything from the Europeans or from the United States or NATO that would seem to suggest that they have leverage over him. I mean, when it comes to oil and gas, for example, he can still sell this to China.
Well, I mean, I think at this stage, I mean, he already potentially, could declare certain progress on the Russian side. For example, the very fact that Russia is talking to NATO and to the United States about the European security system is something which was unimaginable just a few weeks ago when the relationship was de facto frozen and Russia has been really excluded from all of those kind of talks. So in a way, he has already moved up the dial. So he could say that Russia is at the table and very much, as you say, dictating the agenda. At the same time, I think it is clear that on the Russian side, they realize that it is unlikely, very unlikely, that the United States or NATO are going to compromise on the kind of substantial areas of demands that Russia has put on the table, particularly about de jure guarantees that there will not be NATO enlargement into Ukraine. So in that sense, if they do realize that it's impossible that this kind of explicit guarantees are going to be given, that either they will start slowly de-escalating and, announce some sort of small victory that Russia is at the table and dictating the agenda, those talks are going on, there is a possibility of the US-Russia summit, or President Putin decides to take a gamble, which is going to be very costly economically. As we know, both United States and the European Union have announced that they are determined to implement very, very severe sanctions. And of course, within Russia itself, we see all the latest opinion polls that demonstrate that Russian population is not really very keen to see a major war and will not be supporting President Putin as he was supported during the annexation of Crimea. So I think he has potentially a lot to lose if he were to go ahead and stage a military action.